All right, and I'm back.
Ooh.
So, time to talk about The Last of Us Episode 6, The Ties That Bind, which aired this last Sunday. So, since you started first on The Last of Us, or on Man, I'll start first on The Last of Us.
Go for it.
So, my initial take, this one should have been at least 10 minutes longer. Maybe
Okay.
maybe just 5, but the pacing was weird. Like, we got through some pretty heavy beats in rapid succession in a way that I don't know was necessary. Because I don't think HBO would have cared if they went long. Unless it was a cost thing. I don't really know. But so we finally get to Wyoming, meet
Yep.
Tommy. Then immediately Joel and Ellie have their big fight because he tries to leave her or dump her off on Tommy.
Well, don't forget, there's
Tommy
a
and
time
Joel
jump.
have a big fight. And there's a 3-month
forget.
time jump, too, in
3-month time
between
jump. Yeah.
5 and 6. 3 months time jump. So we're skipping from Kansas City to Wyoming, which is fine. There's the in-between part's not necessary.
No,
But the actual in Jackson part, we should have sat there longer.
I think so too. Yeah.
Like, actually, maybe get more with Tommy's wife. Maybe we actually meet Dina. She's the girl that runs away after Ellie, like, yells at her. And that's her love interest-ish in the second part 2.
Yeah.
Actually, like, meeting her as a character would have been nice. More fallout with Tommy and Joel. Their conversations about, Sarah and loss and everything. And then same with Joel and Ellie. Like, they go from massive blowout fight to, oh, yeah, we're over it. Moving on. In a span of like 5 minutes. Either could have sat on that a little longer, or have draw out the process after. Like, have Joel begrudgingly take her anyway, even after the fight. Because Tommy's like, I can't, then reveal Tommy's gonna have a kid. And then so Joel comes back and says, I'll take you because my brother can't go. Then you have them bond again on the way to the university. And then have everything go off where Joel gets stabbed. And that's it. End it there. It just would have been, I think, longer, a little longer, and would have been better paced if you do it that way. Not that this is bad. You still got through the parts you got to get to, because next week is our flashback episode.
Yep.
But it just felt rushed when it didn't have to be. Because it's not on network. It's HBO. You can take your time. So, that's just my thoughts. Still good.
Okay.
But it definitely one of the least well-paced so far.
In the game, obviously this was different on the show than the game. Whereas where Joel is impaled, he's impaled by a metal rod, right? Not a weapon.
I think so.
Because he falls when they're trying to flee from the raiders. He falls and he gets impaled by a metal bar. Do you know how long that is? The period of recovery in the game?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I was trying to think about that today, and I'm like, I couldn't remember this early this evening. I couldn't remember. But anyway, I think it's a better move to have it be a stabbing because obviously we only have a few episodes left, and we don't want to spend too much time, right? Earlier in the episode we did a 3-month jump, so it's like we can't just be jumping like that, consistently. That's going to frustrate people. So at least with the stabbing, he could be out of commission for a couple of weeks, right? Rather than it be longer than that, right? I liked the layout and the design of Wyoming. I thought it was cool to see just like the lights and the structure of things. Really felt like, okay, they were laying foundation for part 2 to take place, obviously, in season 2. Dinah, the thing with Dinah was interesting because everybody thought it was her, and the producers have kind of quasi said it is, but then at the same time, one of the other producers says it wasn't. Like, not confirmed, not didn't say it wasn't, but just kind of not confirming that. But yeah, but I thought it was a good episode. The other thing the one thing that did bother me is, unless it's related to the next episode, which is the flashback, because we see it in the sneak peek. But what the hell? What happened with Ellie's character in this episode to go from kind of just not laid back, but kind of just more subdued to just completely go? She felt unhinged for most of the episode for me.
Yeah, she was extremely combative.
Yeah,
even more than the pilot.
I mean, from the get, like, okay, not I can't say from the get go because when they were tested by all the guys when they were surrounded on the mountain, the hillside, she wasn't as combative. But the moment that she got into Wyoming, up until the time she left, she was super combative with everyone, and I thought that was really odd to me. And unless there's a part of the story in the flashback that explains why, okay, but I'll say for now, it felt a little odd. It
I
felt a
think
little
they were
odd.
trying to go with the subtext that she knew Joel was gonna leave when she saw his brother, right? That,
Yeah, yeah,
he was in much better shape. He's, like, and she's seen that Joel's like having those like issues where she doesn't know, like, is it his heart? Like he's having those panic attacks basically. You
yeah.
know, she could kind of feel that he was trying to disengage,
Okay,
and that's what made her act out. I could see them doing that. I just don't think that was explored enough, like to really not. Don't get me wrong, you can't really over explain subtext, otherwise it's not subtext. But it just didn't, I think, come across effectively enough for. So like I kind of got it, but it took me like actually sitting down to think about it to see it. It didn't
yeah.
hit me watching the episode. That's what's happening. So it kind of comes down to, is that okay? Like, does that still mean it's good if you got there at the end? If that was the intent? Or that if you missed it the first time, is that
Mhm.
not good? I don't
Yeah.
know. That's again, art's subjective. So like it's not objectively bad here. It just for me wasn't as well done theme wise, pacing wise compared to some prior episodes. Still good though.
I appreciate the fact that they're very fluid with the story itself because um they they're consistent with the like callbacks and things like that because when he finally when the brothers when Tommy and Joel finally have the actual real conversation and Joel tells them everything that happened, it felt like, oh, okay, like I was worried that Joel wasn't like we were gonna have that scenario that we get in so many dramas where it's like you're going to know my pain, but I'm not going to tell you what happened. And you're just going to have to make assumptions for the rest of the series or the rest of the season or whatever, right? I wasn't ready for that. And then, finally he broke down and told the whole story. I'm like, okay, at least now we know that Tommy knows what's going on, right? That and the fact that we get a direct callback from the previous episode of Henry and Sam and like and Joel and Ellie having that conversation, it just it was the layering of like interaction was really smooth in this episode for me. Outside of like I said, a few of the weird like instances, like just the combativeness of Ellie. Um, I think they and Pedro Pascal did a good job of making the Joel character feel a little weaker, but at the same time, we're I really think that we're gonna have to get a point where we get the Joel that has we've been hinting about, the darker side of him. Like we're gonna have to get, and that's probably gonna be in episode 8, going into the finale. Obviously, like the big moments that happen at the end, we know that. I don't know how close they'll keep that into in line with the game. Probably a little deviation from that, but I think that we're at some point we're building up towards a snapping. Like he's gonna snap, right? So. Um, I like the callback at the song to the end of the episode. The Depeche Mode "Never Gonna Let Me Down Again," but it did like a slower version of it was really interesting to me too. So they do a really good job with this show in terms of like just keeping things together and moving forward. I am going to be interested to see how much it may stutter with this flashback episode. Obviously, we're going to get cuts back and forth between
Yeah.
her
How
trying to care
interspersed is that
for,
gonna be?
yeah, yeah, how interspersed, but like the trailer, normally it's like sneak peeks really don't dive into that, and that trailer was like all about the flashback. So they gave a lot of information away in that in the sneak peek about the flashback. So um, I'm really interested to see this next episode. I thought 6 was a really good one. I'm not going to say this has like been the most amazing show because I have had a little bit of an overkill of zombie stories, but this is a little bit different, obviously. So I'm okay with it. But it's not like a Ted Lasso where it comes in and like it's a perfect show, the first 2 seasons and everything feels great about that show from start to finish.
Well, it's just a tone
This,
thing. It's like I was reading, I think it was a Polygon article saying that like the biggest problem with those kind of stories is there is no hope.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah,
It's like you still need to root for these characters in a world where there's no hope.
yeah,
Like you, the creator, are telling the audience this, and you're still wanting them to root for these characters. It's a testament to the writing and their acting ability that you still do, but there's no hope here. Like it's a dark, dark story. Like to call back to one of our favorite seasons of any show, Daredevil season 3.
yeah.
That is heavy.
Oh
Like, that
god.
is emotionally draining, but
Oh man.
it works because you get that emotional catharsis.
Yeah.
Last of Us doesn't have that in terms of
No.
that hero wins in the end, and it's like actually good. Like all you're left with is the question of, is Joel the bad guy? And obviously that's spoilers for where they're going to go. But I mean, if you're this far in, you know what's going on with The Last of Us and what the universe they're setting up here. Like that's all we're left with, and that is it's definitely an interesting story. Is it just too much with what's going on, right? Like in terms of where we're at culture wise, obviously post pandemic, is that something that's going to vibe well?
Yeah.
And obviously it's doing well viewership wise, so clearly it is. Maybe we're the outliers there, and I'm not saying it's bad. I quite enjoy it. It doesn't have those cathartic moments for me.
And they may service up a swerve here, and they may have, because they did it in Game of Thrones.
Well,
They
to
may
to go to season 1 House of the Dragon, they don't have Rhaenyra, or the aunt, or her dad's cousin, I guess, bursting through the floor
yeah
with a dragon and just fucking shit up. They don't have
yeah
those kind of like, and that was obviously a big spectacle action piece. I'm not saying The Last of Us should do something like that, but like that was a fuck yeah moment.
yeah.
Last of Us doesn't really have those so far. So we'll see where they go and if we can get anything like that.
And it's not like they can really do something like that to make you just go, yeah,
Other
like a
than
Thor
you're gonna
arriving in
have that, you're
Wakanda
gonna
kind of
have that
moment.
moment, and then you're gonna have to sit back and go, "Oh, we shouldn't have thought that."
Yeah,
Like that's what the finale's gonna do,
yeah.
and I'm very curious to see how that plays. Not just the night of, but like the week after, 2 weeks after. Like, what are people gonna be talking about with the finale? Because I remember when the game came out, people talking about that finale. I remember part two's finale being talked about.
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes,
very
yes.
curious how the wider audience is gonna view this finale. Assuming, to your
Ah,
point,
man.
they don't
Yeah.
deviate too much.
If they don't deviate too much from the game's ending, the first game's ending, I have a feeling that like the general viewer is not going to be very happy. I have a feeling they want some type of bow at the end of season 1, and
You don't get it. It's
like
a story that
they
doesn't
don't
have one.
it doesn't have
It's
one.
a
Like
it's a
there's no one.
traditional. It's a Greek tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what this is.
Yeah.
And like
It's going to
that's
be
I'm
yeah,
curious
man.
how that's gonna
Whew.
play. We don't have many of those actual stories like that. Like in terms of like big top dollar production. We don't have many true tragedies that cross over with this kind of pop culture viewership. So it's gonna be an interesting thing to follow.
Yeah.
For sure. Any other takeaways from episode 6?
Um So it's a good show, man. It really is a good show. Like we both were really excited for this show to hit the to hit our feed, and I haven't been disappointed with it. I have not. There's some things that every show nowadays, because we just have a glutton of content now. We can find fault in every show now practically, right? There are no perfect shows anymore, right?
Except for Strange New Worlds, because that
Yeah.
was awesome. It's gonna pop. I'm just gonna,
Actually, you know what? You're pretty
and
accurate
that's
because
because again, like I said,
yeah,
Strange New Worlds is Star Trek's
yeah.
answer to Ted Lasso, and it's fucking awesome.
God, that you know what, man? You should put that quote on a t-shirt, because that's really it. Like when you think about like that first season of Ted Lasso was so fucking great from start to finish, right?
Yeah,
Blew
just shot out of a
caught
cannon.
shot out of a cannon, caught so many of us by surprise. Remember, like I was like, dude, we got to watch Ted Lasso, and you're like, okay, we'll get to it. And then when
And
I'm
then when I
watching,
binged it in a weekend,
we're,
yeah,
and we're both like, dude, like it's that
dude.
good.
And then yeah, Strange New Worlds, it's that phenomenon in the Star Trek fandom, and it's incredible. I
which is
love it.
great because Star Trek needs something like that, and I think the zombie apocalyptic story needs something like this because I think we focus way too much on like having this over the top joyous finale for our stories, and I think we need to realize that this isn't one of those, and I think the casual viewer is going to be probably frustrated about that, knowing that,
Yeah.
especially and I think I'm going to still keep my thought. I think Joel does. I think they push him up, and I don't think he makes it past the season finale here. I don't think so. I
I
think they
think
move that
they
up.
can't do that because
They
of
can do that.
part two's story. You can't do it there.
Maybe you could. Well, you could begin part of part two story in the season finale, though.
Yeah, you could do a time jump at the end.
You truncate it a bit.
I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to want Pedro Pascal in the marketing material for another
Oh
season.
well, I mean, honestly, he's gonna get some nominations.
Yeah.
In
Like
this
that
Emmy
scene where
season
he's
for
telling
list.
Tommy that she's immune.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yep. I think he's gonna get nods this season, and why not get him two seasons worth of nominations,
Yeah,
so.
it's certainly
But I
possible.
still I still think that they may do that swerve. I have a feeling that they're gonna
I
give us
wonder if
that
they're going to
swerve.
not kill Marlene.
I think that, yeah, because if Joel becomes, I see, this is the thing. I don't see
Because you
them
can't go as dark
accident.
as the game because the game's
No.
violence is
Yes.
it's an interactive story. So like the violence is neutered
Yeah.
through the lens of the controller, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas now that's gone, so you got to tone it down a little bit, and they have so far. So I'm wondering what they tone down in the finale. Obviously, the
Yeah.
broad strokes will be the same, but I'm wondering how they.
But see, here's a tricky thing. If you don't tell that story with Joel at the end of this season and it becomes a part of next season,
Oh no, they're going to do
like,
the dark stuff with him. It's just he's not. Spoilers. Joel's not going to bite it until season 2 because there's a time
okay,
jump.
yeah,
There's a 5-year time jump there,
yeah,
isn't it? 5 years,
3 years,
3-year time jump. There's a time
3 years.
jump, and their relationship they just start to get on a ground where they might repair it. Boom, the rug gets pulled and he's dead. That to me, that's an episode 1 finale, season 2 story. That's the cliffhanger.
Okay,
And then the open of episode 2 is Ellie and Tommy.
okay, okay.
That's
So
where they go with that.
Diego Luna is going to have a bigger role in season 2,
Oh,
which
far
I'm
more.
okay with. I'm okay with that because I think he's a great Tommy. I really do. That man, it's a good show. It really is a good show, and I'm glad we were able to get a good adaptation of a video game. I
Yeah,
really am.
I'm hoping we get some more awesome ones like the Horizon one's looking pretty interesting, and mostly because I've played both games very recently. But
Fallout, come on,
Fallout's coming
Fallout.
up next
Amazon.
year or later this year. They haven't even said.
They haven't said. I mean, it's
It's been in
filmed.
production a long time,
Yeah, yeah.
so that'll be curious.
And then let's
Any other closing
see.
thoughts before we button up here on The Last of Us?
No, no, man. It's just it's good to have. It's good for us to have a springtime of consistent content because growing up as a kid, a lot of the stuff was pushed into the fall season. Fall season, those premieres and stuff on TV and movies that come out in the fall. It's good to be able to have this good spread out. We get a good year's worth of content, man.
For sure.
We can always dip in and out. Like if I wasn't a big Last of Us fan, I could just wait until the season's over with 9 weeks later and just binge it. Which is
Definitely.
good to have that. Good to have that.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Last of Us, yeah, it's been fun. Can't wait to see where
Yeah.
they go next. Oh,
Yep.
and if I'm breaking
It's
this
gonna
out,
break our hearts. We know what's gonna happen.
it's gonna destroy people.
Yep.
And since I'm breaking this out on YouTube, if you're still sticking around, link below. Watch the full podcast because this is a breakout from episode 61 of the podcast Fusion and I do together.